This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It's so great to have you joining me here in these online lessons. It's a Technique Tuesday, so this is a Technique Tidbit lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to be throwing out a finger picking pattern that is one of my favorites for 3/4 time. So in the last Technique Tuesday lessons, so last Tuesday, I did a lesson on one of my favorite patterns for 4/4 time. This is sort of a counterpart to it that works for 3/4 time. Now, if you haven't seen that lesson or any of the ones I've done before on finger picking, just as an FYI, in case you're unaware, the letter P represents thumb, I index, M middle, and then A for ring. So I have the pattern written up here on the board, and I get those finger letters, the letters representing those fingers, written above. We got the rhythm, which is all eighth notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and we're going to have with this one P-I-M-I-A-M. That's the first variation anyway. So with this, with standard positioning, in case you haven't seen that either, the index is going to pluck the third string, middle is going to pluck the second, and ring is going to pluck the high string. We're going to come down around with a relaxed shoulder. That arm is going to come around. We're going to have a nice natural break to our wrist. Fingertips are going to curl under the major joint, where they're going to pluck the strings in a closing hand, sort of grabbing single hand clap fashion, and we're going to have that pattern. I always like to work these on E minor first because you don't have to worry about the left hand when we're in this standard positioning. So again, thumb, index, middle, index, ring, middle. So P-I-M-I-A-M. It can help with 3/4 times sometimes to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, because it can be a little bit tricky compared to 4/4 where we have an even number of beats. Once you get it going, you can go a little bit faster. P-I-M-I-A-M, thumb, index, middle, index, ring, middle. Great sounding pattern. Once we get it down and can do it with that E minor chord, then it's nice to start plugging it into a chord progression and then into songs. So I've got a chord progression up here on the board that I use from time to time with these Technique Tuesday lessons and some of the other lessons I've done. It just sounds great, and it works our hands with different bass notes, one on the 6th string, another one on the 6th string, one on the 5th string, one on the 4th string, which keeps our thumb working. So we have G, E minor, C, and D. So if we plug that in one time per chord, we'd have P-I-M-I-A-M to E minor, to C, and to D. Play a little bit faster so you can hear it done faster. So you go red T and. So that's how that sounds, just like that. Now let's look at some variation. First of all, with this one, sometimes we can switch it up on the second or on the last beat, and instead of doing ring middle written up above, you can go middle ring. So thumb, index, middle, ring is a really nice variation for this one. P-I-M-I-M-A. I'm going to speed it up a little. Go ahead and plug that variation into our chord progression. It would sound like 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now, when you have a chord that lasts for more than one measure, you can actually go back and forth, which I think sounds really nice. So I'm going to do the AM one on the odd numbered measures, and then on the even numbered measures, I'll do MA. So 2 times per chord, we would have, well, just to work it on E minor first, you'd have P, I, M, I, A, M, P, I, M, I, M, A. So just alternating back and forth. And of course you could do it the other way. You could have it done that way, but I'm just going to go ahead and do the one written here first and then the other one second. So we go ready and I'll do it again. Great way to get some variation as you're playing it, and sometimes you might just like one more than another one. Now, another variation that's great is to, instead of playing just the middle finger as you're coming P-I-M, to do middle and ring together, which I have written above. So P-I-M-A-I. And you can do this with both variations. So P-I-M-A-I-A-M, which I use a lot for 3/4 time. I think it just sounds so great. Or we could do the other one, P-I-M-A-I-M-A. And you can alternate them back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first one here. 1 time per chord, we go ready and G, E minor, C, D, G, E minor, C, D. Or I could do the other one. Or I could alternate them if I had at least 2 measures per chord. So that would sound like ready and. That sounds really nice. Now, if I wanted to alter it further, I could do the same sort of thing that I talked about in the last lesson, where I actually change the strings that I'm plucking with my hand, my right hand, which strings I'm plucking with my fingers, depending on what the bass note of the chord is. So as long as I'm playing one that isn't just on the top 4 strings, I can do this, but for the D chord, because it's just on the top 4 strings, I can't. So for the G chord, for example, I can take where my fingers, my index is that 3rd string, middle's on the 2nd, ring's on the top. I can bring those inside and pluck with the D string, middle with the G, and ring with the B string. So I could have, I'm alternating back and forth between the 2 patterns here, but I could just do one of them. So I can do that on G. I can do that same thing on E minor, either pattern. And I can do that on C. But on D, I'd have to move my hand back to standard positioning. So I've got that option as I go through. Now what I like to do, if it's going to last more than one measure, is to actually switch back and forth between the inside positioning where I'm using strings 4, 3, and 2 to the standard positioning where I'm using strings 3, 2, and 1. Okay, if I were to demonstrate that then, just using P-I-M-A-I-A-M, going back and forth between where my fingers are positioned, having 2 measures per chord, it would sound like this. You go ready and... I can't do that on that D chord, so I just played in that standard positioning that whole time. Now, something else that I enjoy doing, and of course you can do that with the variations, you can jump back and forth, you can just do middle and not middle and ring, so you get a lot of options there. But another thing that I like to do is take on beats 1 and 2 and just do the P-I-M-A-I, where my index is plucking that 4th, middle that 3rd, and ring that 2nd, and then grab with ring middle on that high string. So it sounds like this, just on an E minor chord or just on a G chord. So I'm in standard, and then I reach for those higher. I think this sounds great. I'll demonstrate it through the chords. So you go ready and G, E minor, C, D, and of course D has to stay just in standard position, and then that's another variation. You can play with all the different ones that you'd like to. Okay, I hope that helps. Super fun, great finger picking pattern for 3/4 time. I use it with a lot of songs in 3/4 time. It's just a great one. Hope you're having fun with these guitar lessons. Hope you're having fun playing the guitar. Of course, we've got these technique tidbit ones that come out on Tuesdays, Thursday lessons that come out on Thursdays, and then on Saturdays there's the mini course lessons that come out. There is a mini course covering a specific topic. So right around this time we're wrapping up with flat picking, and we're going to be starting with jazz guitar. And of course there's past mini course lessons and past just different series lessons. So lots of different lessons on the channel, and there's the lessons that come with the method books. So lots of different resources. Keep at it, take care, and we'll see you again.
If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.